We're running over ancient wizards with the Pork Chop Express. That's right, it's Big Trouble in Little China.
From Everything Epic.
This co-op caper through the streets of Chinatown pits 1 to 4 players against the evil David Lo Pan in a quest to rescue Mao Yin, his unwilling bride-to-be. I'm not gonna let that stand. You guys gonna let that stand? She don't want it. Setup begins with the game board placed center and the Chinatown side face up. The Audacity track and the Big Trouble track up top on the board mark the progress of the game and determine when the final showdown with Lo Pan can begin. Next, you're gonna roll up your 6 fate dice and place those results alongside the fate board nearby. Those results are locked for now. Shuffle the Hell cards and the Big Trouble cards, placing them face down in their respective spaces. Put the shop item tokens onto their matching shops, where players can purchase them as one-time bonuses in the game. Shuffle up those crate tokens face down and make a pool along with all the extra game dice. Next, create the decks of the game. The main quest deck is comprised of 1 randomly selected hero quest for each hero playing in the game, plus 1 boss quest. Remove the rest from the game, you don't need them, and flip the first 2 setup side up. These are the ones available at the beginning of the game. After shuffling the side quest cards, split them into 3 roughly equal piles and place them each setup side up. The first 3 setup side up are going to be the ones available at the beginning of the game. For each available quest, place a corresponding quest token onto the board in the space denoted on the card. Place the reward deck next to the quests, along with the boss boards. Depending on the number of players in the game, page 8 of your rulebook contains a handy table for creation of your minion deck, any companions you'll need, starting track placement, and starting levels of each hero. Players each take a hero board and corresponding special ability card and upgrade cards. Everyone also takes level up tokens, 3 action dice, 1 red peg to track their health placed at 10, and 1 blue peg to track chi. These are the experience points of the game. In a 4-player game, you'll start at 0. Each player also has 2 quest tokens associated with their hero and a special ability token to mark whether they've used their power. Finally, each player takes their mini and places it in the Dragon of the Blackpool restaurant. Big Trouble in Little China is divided into 2 acts. Act 1, the quest for Little China, is where players gain strength, level up, and fight the minions of Lo Pan. Act 2, the final showdown, is where the heroes confront Lo Pan in his lair and try to win the game. As players progress through Act 1, the Big Trouble track will mark the growing danger of Lo Pan and his forces. The Audacity track marks the progression of the heroes and completion of quests to thwart Lo Pan's ascendancy. Once a token from either track reaches the center space, Act 2 is triggered and the board is flipped over to the showdown side, so I hope you got enough chi. Gameplay occurs in rounds, each divided into 2 phases. First up, the Hero Phase. During Act 1, players flip and read the top Big Trouble card from the deck. First, advance the threat token on the Big Trouble track the number of spaces in the top left. Then resolve the effect in the middle, and finally, spawn minions onto the board based on the instructions at the bottom of the card. After reviewing the situation, players can confer and decide which hero should be the first player this round. Then heroes will take turns going clockwise and beginning with that first player until each has resolved their turn. During a player's turn, they roll their action dice and may resolve the results by placing the die on their board. Action dice faces include mind, body, and spirit, and rolled dice can only be slotted into their category for actions. If the slot is highlighted, that means the hero may resolve an epic version of that action, providing a temporary bonus. Dice actions include movement action. By spending any 1 die, a player can move up to 2 spaces in an action, or 3 spaces if they use an epic slot. Spaces on the board are separated by white and red lines, which are doorways, and distributed into zones, denoted by double white lines. Once a hero stops movement to take another action, even if it's a free action, their movement ends and they will need to use another movement action to move again. Additionally, when leaving a space that contains enemies, players take 1 damage per enemy present. Combat action. By spending any number of action dice, a player can attack an enemy either in their space or within range, provided the hero has a ranged weapon and that enemy is within line of sight. The player builds a combat pool of skill dice, equaling the sum of action dice they chose to spend, plus any bonus dice provided by upgrades or abilities. If any of the action dice were used in an epic slot, that die can be exchanged with an epic skill die. They're pretty cool. Skill dice and epic skill dice both have success icons, multiple success icons, and a failure icon, but epic dice have more faces with a higher potential for more successes. When attempting a combat roll, the player must accumulate successes equal to or exceeding the enemy's defense rating, after which they generate a hit. Rolling under the defense rating results in a miss, and the enemy's strike back ability activates, punishing the hero for their misstep. Skill check action. This is used when a quest or location requires a thematic skill check to complete the story. Similar to combat rolls, the player builds a skill pool of skill dice, one for each action die allocated, plus bonuses for special abilities and upgrades, and epic skill dice if any slots are highlighted. After rolling the skill dice, count the successes and read the result from the quest, depending on whether the check was a success or a failure. One important rule for rolling skill dice: if ever there are 3 or more demons rolled, the active hero immediately loses 3 health. Bad luck, brother! Additionally, the fate dice that we rolled at the setup of our game are a usable pool of action or skill dice that any player can pull from on their turn to help them succeed in their tests during their hero phase. Fate dice used as double actions allow a player to either use that action twice or roll additional dice in the skill check. This includes your epic slots. Fate dice with the dragon spell symbol are wild and can be used as any action normally. Finally, fate dice with the automatic successes can add to your skill check and can even be taken after you've already rolled. However, after using a fate die, the player must re-roll it and place it on the leftmost space of the fate board. Depending on the outcome of that roll, fates may favor your hero or punish them. If the fate track fills up, empty the board and roll a new pool to pull from. Task action. This action is used at various quest markers on the board to complete tasks needed to fulfill quests. Tasks will contain a number of action dice the player must spend, after which they can place a pass marker on that task. Task actions in separate boxes can be completed one at a time over multiple turns, but task actions that share boxes must be completed within one turn. Rest action. Finally, the rest action allows a player to expend a die to gain 2 health, or 3 if their die is in an epic slot. Any player resting with already full health gets a chi point. And that's the dice actions of the game. The free actions can be used at any time between your dice actions, provided you still have action dice to use later in your turn. After each player has taken their turn, the enemy phase occurs. Lopan can advance his goals and send his minions to do his bidding. To resolve this phase, first move the minions on the board a number of spaces equal to their movement rating towards the nearest hero. Minions can't leave the zone in which they spawn to come after you, but a boss can. If the minion is in the same space as your hero or within range, they attack for the amount of their combat value. This number can be mitigated by a defense roll from our hero. The defense value on a hero's card equals their skill pool to roll from, and any successes lower the damage by an equal amount. Boss characters follow the same process, but also have special abilities and multiple hit points, requiring more than just one hit to kill them. As players explore Chinatown and complete the quests of the game, they begin leveling up their heroes. By scoring enough chi to exceed their meter, the player gains a level and puts a new level token on their board, along with their choice of a new bonus asset. Leveling bonuses include extra action dice, upgrade cards, or rerolls in combat. Quests, both main quests and side quests, can be attempted throughout Act 1 in order to gain chi and items to prepare for the final showdown. As players trigger quest tokens, flip that quest card over and follow the steps to complete the objectives.
When triggering main quests, there are 2 types: Hero, which must be activated by that character, and Boss, which can be activated by anyone. If a quest token is on the same space as the hero and no enemies are present, the player may use a free action to start the quest. The player then flips the main quest token and card to their active side and puts the event clip over the top event. The player to their right then takes the quest book and reads aloud the story associated with that quest. Once started, any hero in the game can work to complete any other part of the quest, including completion. The active side of the quest card shows the events in order, their requirements for passage, and the rewards if successfully completed. Side quests work the same way, except any hero can activate them, and they only have one event, which stays active on top of the side quest deck until completed. Progressing through main quests is the primary way to earn Audacity in the game, and completing them earns a unique, powerful upgrade card for that quest's hero.
As heroes adventure and take damage, they have a significant chance of death. Should a hero ever reach 0 hit points, they die and travel to one of the Chinese hells. That player immediately draws a hell card, reads it aloud, and applies its effects. Additionally, the threat token on the Big Trouble track advances 1 space and furthers Lo Pan's goals. Some hell cards stay in play, constantly punishing players, but some effects in the game, including a visit to the Buddha shrine, can remove the hell cards from a player's board. Act 2, the final showdown, begins once either the Big Trouble or Audacity track advances all the way to the middle of the board. Flip over the game board and follow the setup instructions to face Lo Pan.
Depending on which quests were completed in Act 1, set up the Showdown quest on the side that corresponds with your progress. Each includes instructions to spawn minions and bosses on the board, as well as starting hero locations. Players will need to collect keys by completing requirements on the Showdown cards to gain entrance to the central arena level to face off with Lo Pan and the 3 storms.
If players get inside and defeat Lo Pan before his Big Trouble track reaches its end, the players win. And that's Big Trouble in Little China. I'm Becca Scott, and seriously, I'm available for casting if a reboot's in the works. I'm not joking. I mean, you think Kurt looks buff? Come on. Check out these guns. Also, you can watch me and my friends play this game and other awesome games on Game the Game, right here on Geek and Sundry. We'll see you there.